What's going on, everybody? Back with another Thursday, man. Getting into week 5 football, man. Got a new sponsor today. I was actually surprised by this sponsor, man. But it looks like the Citrus Spartans football community. I was reached out by some people in the community, and they said, we like what you do. And I was like, that's what's up. And they really wanted to help out. And so thank you. I appreciate that. If you're looking to buy a home, definitely reach out to Mark Wright, Coldwell Banker Coastal Homes. Let me find his. There we go. Coldwell Banker Coastal Homes, Mark Wright definitely supports youth sports. If you're looking to get recruited, definitely check out R&R Elite Recruits. Definitely Ronnie and his team will definitely take care of you. Claim your free trial today. And EMERSON KILGORE 401 Strength and Fitness, man. Thank you, everybody. We're going to bring in Uncle Felix. What's going on, Felix? How's everything? Oh, let me see. Here we go. Now you're back in here. How you doing?
Not bad, you?
All right. I had you kind of flipping all kinds of things around, man. A lot of flipping around this week. I'm doing all right, hanging in there. Slow motion, better than no motion, as they say. Yeah, it's kind of nice when someone from the community kind of reaches out to you and says, we want to sponsor you as a community. We like what you do, and I was like, cool. That's definitely that's what's up, because it's not easy doing. There's a lot of work that goes into this, people can kind of think what they want. And, from your political goat show, and your podcast show, like there's a lot of work. And you're Rhode Island ranked. What goes into picking these kids every week? I mean, and doing the video.
Mm-hmm.
So
it all takes time. You know what I mean? So it's cool to be recognized, every once in a while. Nothing wrong with that.
No, definitely. You see what's going on in the Interscholastic League. All the changes. 3 games to go to playoffs. Last in the springtime we had a 5-game season that was supposed to. A lot of coaches use that time to change the way that they coach. And it seems like the Interscholastic League, and I hate to always be banging on Interscholastic League, but they didn't use that 5-game scale to figure out how this playoffs was going to work. And I said in the beginning of the season, we're going to have problems come week 4, week 5, week 6 with this. And I still think that you need to forfeit. If you can't play, you need to forfeit.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as we said probably on your last show, it just the whole thing wasn't well thought out, which is why they're changing it now. I mean, it's an indictment on the poor thought that they put into the whole thing at the beginning. I mean, they should have. It's obvious they didn't think this all the way through. You know what I mean? And shame on them for that. I do give them credit for at least trying to correct it. You know what I mean? The thing is, you're never going to make everybody happy anyway, but at least they are trying to correct the issue. But again, that's an indictment on the poor job they did in planning.
No, they're definitely trying to correct it. And then, but you look at Division 1, it's so confusing. Who plays who? A4 hosting B5. And then the 1 and 2 seed.
Bingo.
Yeah, exactly. And then you look at the second round. And then you got the winner of A3 is going to play B6 versus the winner of B4, A5 at a higher seed.
You sunk my battleship.
That's something like what it is. And check this out right over here. The number 1 and 2 seed, as we know, goes into a state champion bracket, right? The number 2 goes down into this bracket. So now the number 2 goes all the way. The number 2 will not play again until, let me see, I got it right here. Hang on. So after the state championship game, whoever loses that game will not play up again until friggin' the 20th. No, November 20th. So the state championship game is when the beginning. It's state championship is November 20th, and then the loser gets dropped down into the other bracket, and they get to play the team, and the winner of that goes on to the division championship game. So it looks like the one or two basically guarantees has a shot at either the championship game or at least has a good shot at the divisional championship, because they basically put them in the round before the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I mean, it definitely
Yeah, I
benefits
mean,
that.
the way they set it up, and again, I don't agree with it, but the way they're setting it up is they're assuming it's going to be Hendricken and Portsmouth. I mean, Hendricken and LaSalle. Um, so that's why it's set up that way. And then then to appease everybody else, they have the Division One championship. I wish they would do away with all that and just have one champion come out of the thing. But unfortunately, we live in a day and age of everybody wants a trophy, so they do it this way. It's not the worst of ideas. I don't like it because it can get all convoluted, just like it is now. And the same thing with the. I mean, if you look back a few years ago, because of this setup, they ended up screwing North Kingston out of.
Yes, I remember that.
2 years in a row, North King was covered 8, and they got screwed out of playing for the state championship. And then why? Because they were too busy just assuming it's going to be Hendricken and LaSalle. I mean, you shouldn't assume anything. You never know what can happen.
I mean, I'm not really mad at the way that Division Two kind of goes. 8 out of 12 teams seems all right. But then you look at Division Three. I'm going to call that the Oprah division. You get a seed. You get a seed. You get a seed. Seeds for everybody.
Yeah.
And I talked to some coaches that kind of are in the bottom of these brackets, and they basically said, I don't want a pity seed.
Yeah, because you end up being basically just a sacrificial lamb for that first round. But you play the game, and anything could happen. But I get it. Like, you can literally make this if they're putting everybody in. Basically, you can literally make the playoffs probably with 2 or 3 wins. You know what I mean? And then you're gonna go against a number 1 seed who's probably undefeated and been smashing everybody.
But even if you look at the way that they have the brackets, it don't even make sense, because traditionally, 1, 6, 2, 5, it goes like that. It's like, and Division 4 is the only division that gets a bye through this whole playoff process. So Division 3, say a 0-win team goes into a playoffs, and you can't say it won't happen, and knocks off one of these contenders, because things just didn't go right. How does that look for the league?
It looks bad because it takes the reward of having then why bother having a regular season if everybody's just going to make the playoffs? It's kind of silly. But
well, let's just, why bother finishing their season? Let's just start the playoffs today.
Yeah.
And I mean, Division 4, salute to them. And it looks like Pontiac has the keys to run away with everything right now.
Yeah,
they even get a bye. You get a bye in Division 4. They've been getting byes all season. Pontiac got a bye going into the playoffs. Their last week of the game,
really,
Jimmy Cook has a bye, to rest up for the playoffs. Very smart, and then you go into the playoffs, you got another bye. So you got 2 weeks you're gonna sit out.
Yeah, that's good and bad. It's good because you get to heal up and get healthy. It's bad though because you're healing up and getting healthy.
Yeah, definitely. I guess the good that comes out of this is we're gonna see more football.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I give kudos for them. For us having it, at least they didn't shut it all down. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm upset because they just need to let it all play out. They need to stop treating COVID like leprosy. You know what I mean? Because a kid catches COVID, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean life is over. I mean, we got to get over that now. The whole way we're treating this thing is insane.
So if we had the top, it's the top 8, I believe, in D1, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, one side of the ball you got Bishop Hendricken and Woonsocket that actually have close win percentage, very very close. Um, there's a there's a chance the way win percentage goes, Woonsocket could get the number one, which would be home field advantage now because you don't get the bye. I
Yeah.
mean, if they get the extra game over Hendricken, I understand Hendricken and Central is supposed to play Monday. Both coaches said that they want to do everything they can to get out there. Central's ready,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's going to be interesting these next couple of weeks. But I definitely think that he made, I just pretty much wanted to, he pretty much said this, telling teams that they have to flat out forfeit seems like a bad idea only because in some of these circumstances, because they have to cancel games despite having COVID, they were simply close contact. Should a team have to take an L for that? Yes. It's a forfeit. If 8 players on the team roll their ankle and they can't play and you can't play, it's a forfeit. Like, I'm sorry, but this isn't youth football. This is high school football. Some of these kids are trying to go on and make careers for themselves and go to college, and we got to get serious about it.
Yeah. Or like I said, we could stop acting like a bunch of idiots, babies, and treat this thing for what it is, and just play the fucking game. Excuse my
Yes.
French.
No, thank you. Thank
This is
you. See,
ridiculous.
people, one take. That's keeping it real. You know what I mean? That's keeping No, you're absolutely right. It's a shame how we're handling this
No,
and
we're all
just
we're all tiptoeing around this whole thing when we know COVID has a 99.9999 whatever percent chance of you being okay. Why are we pussyfooting around it? The whole thing is ridiculous. Here we are canceling games, taking precious games away from seniors who are on their last year, or anybody, because you only have 4 years of high school football. So any games you're missing due to this nonsense is a shame. You know what I mean? But yeah, here we are, and shame on us parents for not, to be in all honesty, not standing up for our kids more, because our kids do not deserve this; they deserve better.
no, definitely. Shout out to you for even saying that. No, you're absolutely right. And I guess the league and media outlets saying that this wasn't this wasn't an issue in Rhode Island football seems to be three games to go till the playoffs, and the league is switching everything up. So it seems to be that, and Coach Washington said too on that. He said you can't really say strategy does not go into this type of like when you're thinking about these situations.
But it's human nature. You know what I mean? So you got to at least ask the question. I get it. Like I can't sit here and accuse anybody. I can question though. You know what I mean? Do some things look a little suspicious? Yeah, you wonder. But do we have any hard evidence? No. So there's nothing you can do.
No, it's never
And
been
again,
about.
at the end of the day, we're all here because we're pussyfooting around the whole situation, and instead of just playing through it.
No, and it's never been about accusing any coach because I'm sure all coaches and kids want to go out there and play. But, you have to wonder, like, hey, if I don't kind of play this, I could lock myself into a number 2, or I could lock myself into a number 3. Or you
Yeah,
got a team like West Warwick that grabs onto a number 3 and said, hey, you know what? I got a number 3.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
see you in November.
Yeah, again, it wasn't thought out correctly, and you know what I mean. And then them making the changes now, it proves that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But your top 3. Let's talk about that a little bit. We'll switch the gears on because you do a lot of work on your top 3. Let me make sure I got everything here. Hang on. Let's see. Here we go. Uncle Felix's top 3. He does this each week. Definitely go over to Instagram and check him out. Rhode Island ranked. He puts a lot of work into this. This is not his first year doing it. As they say, this isn't my first rodeo, but we're going to get on with the quarterbacks, Uncle Felix. Of course, you got to have Dean up in there.
Dean, as you know, had an awesome game. He threw 5 touchdowns in just a half of football, as you know, LaSalle rolled to a pretty easy win over Shea High School there, 49-7. And you know, he threw 5 touchdowns in the process. So you know, pretty tough not to have him, you know, number one on that list. My number 2 was Philip Thoreau, and he probably played in one of the games of the week there with Narragansett taking on Pilgrim. Everybody knew that was going to be a good game. Ended up being a shootout. What was it, 55-40 or something like that?
55-40, 95 total. Yeah, about 95 points scored in that game.
5 total points, crap load of offense. You know what I mean? He threw a bunch of touchdowns in the process, so he was my number 2. And then my number 3 was Wes Canoia. He put up some great numbers as he led Burrillville. I think they played and they beat, was it East Providence, I want to say?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So they traveled down to that beautiful complex in East Providence where your son's looking for a statue built.
Yeah, they should give him a statue. You know, they definitely should.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Have
Well,
you seen?
Definitely top.
No, but you know, Burrillville produces good quarterbacks. You know, from their feeder program all the way up to the high school. You know, when before West Canoia came along, Burrillville was in Division II, and you know, I tell Coach Ferraro, wow, you know, you're not going to have that experienced quarterback. It's probably going to be a problem, you know, and you're losing a few of your line. Chirado goes up to UMass Dartmouth, and I think even he believed it was going to be an issue. And then what do you know? Here comes Burrillville again, challenging for the state championship. You know, they really surprised me. And West Canoia, I think, was a big key. Him and Thatcher was a big key in Burrillville.
I've had the pleasure of watching West Canoia over the years as he quarterbacked in Burrillville. He also played basketball for me on Team Launch. He's a very good athlete, very good basketball player too.
You know, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but some of the best players in the state played on one of your teams, whether it was youth, high school. You're always got a kid. He played for me on this team, on that team, man. Salute to you.
I got a chance to coach FBU football here in Rhode Island, and which is basically an all-star team for Rhode Island. So, and I got to reach out to some of the top to all the. It's funny now because when I look at basically the who's who in Rhode Island football, yeah, I can say I coached them.
Maybe take that page out.
Great FBU football. And I also had the pleasure of coaching launch basketball, which was Ty Law's basketball team here in AAU. And we had some great athletes.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a new one already.
A bunch of other kids.
We
won actually the basketball.
But I gotta walk away.
Hi, I'm sorry about that. You want to talk about your running backs?
Top 3 running backs. Let's see. Number 1 came Cam Pedro, who actually played for me in FBU. He had a huge week. Unfortunately, they did lose the game, but he racked up over 200 plus yards on the ground, 31 carries, and he accounted for all the Cumberland Clippers points, but they fell short to the Skippers, 21-14. But he played very well. He also had 5 catches, I believe, for I'm not sure how many yards, but he played a very strong offensive game, so I had him at number 1. My number 2, who was my number 2?
You had Fry, you had Cam Pedro.
It was actually not his first time on the list. He played a strong game, obviously, in that game that we talked about, the shootout. Him and the other running back there, I believe his name is Micah. He had a very strong game as well. I almost put him as my number 3 running back. but I ended up giving that to the kid from Barrington, who also rushed over 100 yards and had a few touchdowns. And Diorio, I believe, is his last name. Um, but yeah, those three rounded out my top three running backs
I had
this
an issue with the amount of carries that the Cumberland kid had. I was like, that is a lot, man.
year.
Like,
He needs to. I'm sure he got to sit in the ice water after the game. He
oh
must
yeah,
be. He
I'm
must be sore.
definitely.
And I'm very familiar with him. He's not a big kid, so I'm impressed by the amount of carries that he was able to have there.
Yeah, I mean that is a lot of carries. That's pretty much saying we need to win this game, man. Like we're just gonna keep giving it to you and giving it to you and giving it to you, you know. But that strategy didn't work. So wide receivers now. Yeah.
Receivers.
You mind just tapping out and tapping
I'm
back
gonna
in?
pull them up there.
Yeah, I think I got him, but you might have to tap out and tap back in.
Yeah, I can do that. Give me 1 second.
All right, just to get a better signal. Well, we're gonna wait for Uncle Felix to come back. He's been going over his top quarterbacks, top running backs, and now his top receivers. We're gonna wait for Uncle Felix to tap back in, and of course, LaSalle seems to be playing good football around this time of the year. I just hope when it comes down, you know, when they go against Bishop Hendrick, and we'll see how that game is going to be. You know, there we go, Uncle Felix back in the house.
All right, my top three receivers this week. Two of them came from the same team, and they came from that game that we talked about earlier, where LaSalle coasted to a 49-7 win. I believe they scored all 49 points in the first half. And their passing game was a big part of that. My number one receiver this week was Jacob Gibbons, who's been seeing a lot of time playing slot. I believe the running back there now is um, but you do end up seeing both of them in the backfield. But you do see Gibbons seems to be putting a lot more time in at the slot position and doing well, obviously.
Yeah, he connected for a 98 yarder, right?
Yeah, 98-yard touchdown. You know what I mean? Great, exciting play. I got it up there on my Rhode Island ranked page. Also, Ayafrady was another receiver who had a big game for him. Dimitri Ayafrady, he was over 100 yards and I believe one or two touch scores himself. He's also a very, very dangerous special teams guy as well. And then my number three receiver, let me see, bring it up here, was Pilgrim there. In Pilgrim, he was part of that shootout. They came up on the short end, but not because of this guy. He racked up well over 100 yards, 3 touchdowns in his efforts. And that was, I believe his name is Brandon Whitman.
Yep, Brandon Whitman.
Those were my top 3 receivers.
You know, that Narragansett Pilgrim game, I read someone's comment, they said, oh, Pilgrim, they got smashed by Narragansett. And I think about it and I say, well, usually when a team scores 50 points, 55 points, the other team is not scoring 40 points.
Mm-hmm.
How do we rate Central? Yeah, usually when
I don't know if it could be one of those situations though where the score was worse than than what we see. Did Pilgrim score some garbage points at the end maybe to bring it closer? I don't know.
I know at halftime it was Pilgrim 26 and I want to say 26-49 and then I'm getting updates at the third quarter. Pilgrim's driving, they get it all the way down. They made some points towards the end. It was a fight the entire game, and I think Pilgrim fumbled, and then Narragansett ended up scoring, which it was like a 7-point game at that time, and then Narragansett ends up, winning by a couple of scores. But I can't say that game was a smashing because Pilgrim did put up a fight and score 40 points. One of the listeners, JW, want to know, how do we rate Central's D line? I think Central's team is doing a fantastic job. Coach Washington, Coach Kaleo down there, his whole staff. What about you, Uncle Felix?
Coach Washington does an excellent job there at Central. This is his first year there. He's not, they haven't skipped a beat, even though with Coach Rios retiring. Washington seems to be on his A game. I know their offensive line, I have them very high on my list. Probably the number 2 offensive line in the state. They got a lot of people who return, a lot of big boys up front there, and it shows in their running game. The defensive line is nothing to shake a stick at either. They are very good. They really, get after it. They're a tough team to run on. So we're always very offensive minded, as and I'm guilty of that too, even on my Rhode Island. But defense, especially for Central, that's one of the big reasons why they are where they are. If you look at the scores of their game, they're holding teams down to 1 or 2 touchdowns a game. You know what I mean? So they're very tough defense over there.
Yeah, and they played themselves against SK. Like, they really had a lot of mistakes, and nobody really even knows that Central had a QB change. You heard that here first. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know Central went through their last game with a different quarterback. So Coach Washington is definitely doing a good job over there at Central High School. He's
South Kingston is no joke. They're a tough team. So,
No, yeah, they definitely are, and no disrespect to South Cape, but now if you go back and watch that game, Central did everything to blow that game. You turn the ball over 5-6 times. You're not ready. It's true. Coach Washington would tell you the same thing. We did a lot of things bad that game. And then when they're going for the snap, for the extra to get the field goal. And Coach Washington said on the podcast the very next day that when you take over a football team as a head coach, you think you covered everything going into that game, and then you realize, man, there's something that we didn't cover. But then he goes into film room. Them boys had a tough week of practice, and every person on that Central sideline can vouch for that. They fixed things. And they came back and they really showed up this week.
Yeah, they showed up. They got the W. So we'll see. They got Hendricken next on hopefully Monday. So we'll see how that goes.
So what are we on now? Running backs.
No, defense.
Oh, that's right. Defensive backs. I just put it on. I should have known. Okay, let's get into Rhode Island ranked top defensive back.
Yep, my number 1 guy was Ben Hurd, who, in my opinion, is definitely a top 5 athlete in the state. He plays quarterback for them as well. He's also a safety, and he actually had a big game for them on both sides of the ball. Came up huge though on defense with an interception. Matter of fact, that's a picture of that interception he came up with. Number 2, we go to Coventry.
Keep it going for 1 second.
Yep, this kid racked up a whole lot of tackles. Also had an interception in the game and led Coventry to the victory. Then we have rounding it up from Moses Brown, Logan Ziegler, who I believe returned a fumble for a touchdown. He played very tough for Moses Brown, and he was my number 3 guy, and that rounded off the top defensive players.
All right, I figured you were holding it down for a second. I had to run to the front door.
Perfect time, and I just finished when you got back.
Nice, Coventry, Nick Kopp, he seems to get the ball back now. I don't know if you covered that. He was on the line for a while. But one thing that Coventry has to get fixed, no matter what it is, they've been having a lot of penalties come their way. The last game, 50 penalties, 50 yards in penalties. I'm sorry. So that's definitely a lot of penalties, but that is definitely Uncle Felix's Rhode Island ranked, his top 3. You could check him out over on Instagram. He does a very good job over there. That's actually a lot of work. But let's get into some predictions, huh? I mean, it's been an exciting week so far. Let me put some of the games up at the bottom of the screen so we can get them on the ticker, since I waste all the time typing that stuff. But yeah, here we are, October 15th. The season is supposed to end on Halloween, so we're only like 3-4 weeks away. We're week 5 right now. It's been exciting, Felix.
Yes, it has. I mean, we're past the halfway mark now. So, coming down the stretch, so to say, it's going to be interesting to see where everybody falls in line for the playoffs.
I'll tell you what, the first game we're going to look at, Central Falls Johnston needs to wake up now. Johnston really needs, taking that loss to Charahoe really hurt them. And now Central Falls has Johnston against the ropes.
Yeah, where is that game?
That game is going to be in CF.
Oh, wow.
Macomber.
Yeah.
Macomber.
Home of the Warriors. But
and Salute, that's a beautiful facility.
Yeah, much better than it was when I played there. I'm gonna say Johnston bounces back here, and Hunter Remington gets them back on track, and they get the W on the road.
I mean, Johnston really needs to, because even though that. Well, you know what? They're actually in good shape, because you know what? They're in the Oprah division. They're in Division 3, where everybody gets a seed. So, so we'll see.
The key is you want to get into the playoffs hot. You don't want to back into the playoffs with a bunch of losses.
Yeah, no, that a lot of people don't want them last seeds. Them 7 and 8 spots. A lot of people are like them are pity spots. Them are pity seeds. Respectfully.
Hey, you never know. You never know. There could be a Cinderella story out there waiting to happen.
Exactly. And Coach Penn, he commented on one of the posts, and he said, what if a team with 0 wins comes in and knocks off one of these teams? What is that going to say? You're going to have a 0-win team that goes deep in the playoffs?
Hey, I remember one year, me and West coached Pop Warner football, and we had a team, I believe, that finished the regular season either 4-4 or 5-4, and so nobody really gave us any thought of winning the championship. We ended up getting hot at the right time and won the state championship and went on to the regionals with that team, and we brought home the first state title for the Central Falls Panthers there in youth football. So you never know. I can't hear you.
These things can happen, at any time. Any team can, have a bad day. Give the ball up 5 times in a game. It happened a couple times this year. It happened to EWG. They did it. It happened to Central Knights, against SK. You give the ball up 5 times, you're not gonna. It's not gonna end well for you.
Yeah, no, turnovers are the great equalizer.
It's not gonna end well. Another game, Mount Pleasant and Lincoln. On that side of Division 2, let's face it, it's up for grabs. It's not a very strong side of the division, respect to all the teams over there. Coventry, Mount Pleasant, Barrington, and there's a lot of key games this week that can really switch them seedings up. Now it's the top 4 on each side, 4 out of 6. So there's going to be 2 teams on each side of Division 2 that are not going to make it. So you only got to be better than one of them teams.
Yeah. Yep. But with the Mount Pleasant Lincoln game, I'm going to say Mount Pleasant. I do believe Deuce Addison is the X factor here. Definitely will be the best athlete on the field in this game. Um, so I would look for them to pull off the victory. Mount Pleasant is going to have to obviously put a stop to Lincoln's run game. If it gets going, can be dangerous. The wing T triple options stuff. But if they can keep that under control, Mount Pleasant should pick up the W.
Yeah, no, Mount Pleasant's been playing good football. They scored 94 points on the season. They gave up 110 points. In the league right now, they're 3-1, and they look to be in first place of Division Two. So as right now, Mount Pleasant is pretty much has that home field advantage. In games like this that are in the division, it is a must win for Mount Pleasant to stay up there in the seedings.
Mm-hmm.
I sounded like I knew what I was talking about.
Yes, you did.
But the next game, another game that's a must win for both sides of the ball. Mount Hope, West Warwick football. West Warwick haven't putting together some nice drives, but Coach Penn cannot get over that hump. I mean, they beat Mount Pleasant, good thing, because if they beat Mount Hope, that puts them in a good situation with 4 seeds.
Yeah, I mean, West Warwick, obviously West Pennington's first year there. He's still trying to put together, the team, or trying to get them to where he wants them to be. These last 2 weeks, I mean, the schedule has been no friend to them. They played St. Ray's, and then they played Classical back to back, who are two powerhouses in that division. So I do believe here, where they play Mount Hope, we will see West able to finish some drives, put some in the end zone. So I'm gonna pick West Warwick here.
Yeah, West Warwick, I think they have the quarterback that can get it done. They have the kid Medeiros that runs the ball good. They need more points offensively, scoring 76 on the season, giving up 142. But when you talk about their schedule, which was very, very tough schedule, I mean, to begin with, every game they played from Toga, even Cranston West, Tolman, Mount Pleasant, St. Ray's, Classical, and now they have to beat Mount Hope and Lincoln, and then, see what happens with Westerly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, like you said, you went over that schedule there. Most of those points come from 2 games, and that's Classical and St. Ray's. Really racked up the points on them. I think they scored 76 total points against the Wizards in those 2 games.
Yeah, St. Ray's has been racking up points. They've been averaging 40, 50 points. The only game this season, the first when they played NK that first week, and then Westerly, I think they scored 28 on Westerly. So they've been scoring a lot of points this year. JW wants to know, do games this season canceled due to COVID count as losses? No, we talked about that earlier. I think they should count as a forfeit, but unfortunately, it's counted as a no contest, like the games never happened, and that's why the league now changed the whole playoff format. Okay, we'll get to the next one. Cranston East and EG, 2 teams. Someone's going to win that night.
Yep, and I'm going to go with Parker Diskey out of East Greenwich. He's the quarterback there. Again, one of the top quarterbacks in the state. He's having a tough time this year behind a offensive line that lost a lot of people. He also doesn't have the big weapon from last year. Nonetheless, there's a lot of fight in that team. I saw when they played Hendricken. They didn't give up, even though they were, outmatched, that's for sure. But this will be a week here where they won't be outmatched, and we'll get to see them put up some points on the scoreboard. So I think EG will win that game big.
Both the Cranston teams are struggling right now. They both need to really figure it out, and respectfully, I don't want to offend anybody over there, but they're both at the bottom of Division 1 right now. Not that they can't pull it out.
No, yeah, I was gonna say they're probably at this point they're definitely the two weakest teams in Division 1 right now.
All right, here we go. Cumberland High School, the 30 carry team that went with your boy Cam Pedro, for, however many, what do you have, 300 yards? Salute to him to be able to run against my son's alumni, where they're going to name a statue after him one day. I don't know if it's going to be at East Providence High School, but we will erect a statue.
Yeah.
East Providence High School, that game's going to be in Cumberland.
Yeah, East Providence is winless to this point, and that looks like it'll probably stay away. I don't know. I don't think Cam Pedro's going to get another 31 carries this week. if he does, oh my! But I'm sure they'll spread the wealth a little more. Give that kid a breather anyway. But Cumberland should win that game.
Yeah, you definitely have to give him a breather. So I guess the East Providence, that new field is not helping them. But they'll get it together. What do they got? Longfellow, Stringfellow?
They'll get it.
What is his name?
Stringfellow. They got a Stringfellow. They got a new coach there, so he's got to implement his stuff. It's going to take him a little while to get the ship
There's
righted,
a few Stringfellows around.
I have absolute confidence in him. He's a great coach.
Yeah, I don't know him. I just know I hear the name a lot, and it just makes me think of something from Mr. Deeds. No disrespect to him, but it just makes me think of the movie Mr. Deeds for some reason. Tolman High School and St. Ray's. Last week I watched Tolman play, and I was very impressed for the first half of the game. They seem to have the pieces. It's just they can't get the longevity of a whole game, and they just can't get over that hump.
Now, years ago, this used to be a huge rivalry game on Thanksgiving. It was actually one of the oldest Thanksgiving games in the whole country. And then foolishly, they stopped it. I'm not sure why. I think because one team started to dominate more. But, all these things go on cycles, and they should have never done away with that game, threw that game away. That being said, St. Ray's is the cream of the crop in Division 2. I don't see anything changing here. Because it's a rivalry, this thing might be a little close to begin with, but St. Ray's will pull away and win this one.
I mean, St. Ray's is definitely they have been a threat. They have, they have what you call football players. They don't have the kids that just want to play football. They really have some good players.
No, they got some great players, but Tolman's got some too. They got that that big offensive tackle there. They believe his last name is Ward, who's gotten some Division 1 offers, and they got some big guys up front on that defensive line as well.
Devin Ward. Devin Ward, a very, very good kid, and one of their biggest kids I think they have is number 78, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, very, very big kid, and they actually held Westerly down to like 7. It was 7-6 at halftime, but after they made adjustments at halftime, it seems like, and that seems like how the Costco game was too with Tolman. It just kind of got away from them.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, St. Ray's got a lot of weapons. Napoleon Barros there, the quarterback. He does well with his feet. Obviously, Moses Muse, who everybody's familiar with, and their running back there, who also played for me, Enrique.
And another one.
They call him Bo. Ross. His last name is Ross. Enrique Ross, but he goes by the name of Bo. I've been noticing he's been putting up some pretty good numbers the last few games. So he's starting to come on, which gives them another weapon.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And right now, Max Preps actually has St. Ray's number 1, in the state, and I could appreciate that because I really, hang on, let me get this out of here. I like how Max Preps does their I apologize about that. I like how Max Preps does their analytics, and right now they have St. Ray's number one in the state, followed by Bishop Hendricken right behind them. And St. Ray's scored 150 points, and they only gave up 21 right now. So
Yeah,
they're playing very good
but we
football.
also they're playing very good football. Are they the number one team in the state? No, not. Are they a top 5 team in the state? Maybe, definitely maybe, but they're not the number one team in the state.
I have to ride with
Just
Max
be
Preps, man. You know,
just and that's fine with them. It'll sort itself out. Um, but watching all these teams play, they're very good. Don't get me wrong, a top 5, but could they play with a LaSalle or even a Hendricken? No, not
you
yet.
don't think so? Wow, that's a bold statement there. Like, I think they can. Can they? Can they win? I mean, not
I
5 out of 5 games, but I
I,
think
I
they can.
don't want to insult anybody, but no, I think that either of those teams would beat that team, by a pretty good score. When I say pretty good score, by 3 or 4 touchdowns easily.
Damn, you know what? Like, you might have these two coaches want to set something up. You know, you might have Moses Muse and Chris Molina because they watch this. Say, you know what, man, I'm in my feelings now. We want to put Bishop Hendricken.
Hey,
But they might make it to D1 next season, and Moses Muse will be a senior.
They should have been in D1 this year.
They should have never left D1.
Even last year, they should never have left D1 exactly.
They should have, yeah, they should have never left. But
They got dropped down. They were very competitive. You know what I mean? And it was a very young team. I saying it very good, but so I know they have there. It's very good.
oh yeah. I mean, you broke up on a lot of that, but maybe it was for the better. But but yeah, it would be so interesting to see because St. Ray's just looks, they have the weapons right now. They have the coaches. Their kids been going to camps, and it's amazing because you look at all the kids that played in that Breakthrough Academy this season. They're all playing very good football right now.
Yeah, no, that's a great program they have there, and that Breakthrough Academy is a great way for them to hone in their skills.
I think Coach Dunbar, we need to figure out some compensation every time I mention Breakthrough Academy. I'm just saying, you know. Nah, salute to Coach Dunbar. I like what he's doing at Breakthrough Academy. Was it perfect? No. Did it? Are they going to iron out some issues that I'm sure they are? It was their first year, and I think it was for someone's first year. It was great, But let's get on to this next game. Let me see where we're. All right, we had the. Hold on. Okay, Coventry Barrington. This is another game that really is a. Coventry needs to win this game. Barrington. This is all going to be at the top of the standings right now. Mount Pleasant, Barrington, Coventry. They all can't win, but they all need to win.
That might be a game of the week there, Coventry and Barrington. And just because I think they've been more consistent this year. So I'm going to go with Barrington.
Yeah, Coventry Barrington, Uncle Felix said that's going to be the game of the week. He's picking Barrington. I know he is having some sound issues, but we'll get through this. Yeah, I want Coventry to win that game, but you look at who Barrington really played, and I know you can only play who you have on your schedule, but Middletown, they played East Providence. They play teams that people are getting wins on, but you can't play, you have to play your schedule. So, yeah, go Oakers. We'll talk to Gary Goodhart Friday night after that game. So far, twice this year, Coach Gary Goodhart came on and was very upset with the victory. So let's see if if this week, but like he says, you can't throw back a keeper. You know, and mostly it's officiating. So, but just wanted to get that out there. Pilgrim High School and Charahoe. Ordinarily, maybe this would have been a good game, but you know, Coach Blake seems fired up, and his kids. I don't think they're going to take that loss too lightly.
No, I was gonna say they got a bad taste in their mouth, and Charahoe, unfortunately, is probably going to feel the brunt of what Pilgrim wants to bring. So yeah, I'm going to go definitely with Pilgrim in that one.
Yeah, like I love everything what Pilgrim's doing over there. You know, from 2 years ago, him getting a little hiccup in Division 2. You know, some teams just should not go beyond where they are, and Pilgrim should be a Division 3 school. But yeah, I think Charahoe's gonna have problems. So you know, Charahoe has the helmets with the sensors inside them that they're connected to laptops. So when a kid takes an impact, it sends off a signal, and they could tell, you know, kind of if the kid has a bad injury or if he took too hard of a hit. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, they put these little chips. And they used some of the helmets that they already had, the Speedflex helmets, and they put a chip in them. It was like, I think, $500-600 each helmet, but it's probably worth it because now you know. Well, how much are the helmets? $300-400. You know, for the high school ones. You know, so I think it was $5 and change to have them all done. But yeah, they paid a pretty penny. This was a couple of years ago, so you know, good for them. Cranston West and LaSalle. You know, we talked about Dean being on your top 3. Dean throwing a 98-yard touchdown. Cranston West needing a win. Are they going to be able to get it on LaSalle?
No, they won't. And let's see if Dean might throw another 5 touchdowns at halftime. Yeah,
he's going to enjoy that. You know, that kid can ball.
You know, he has a great arm. He can make all the throws. Smart kid. And scary thing is, he's only a junior.
He's accurate. Yes, he's only a junior in throwing. This is the second. Here's my guy from SK. You know, he actually kept me. Thank you very much. He said, "Good shit, my boy." No doubt, no doubt. He actually kept me tuned in on Narragansett score. You know, and it's always good to have someone at them games that are kind of letting you know scores, so you can.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, because you can't count on the Providence Journal updating scores. I mean, I haven't checked today, but as recent as yesterday, I went on to see if they had all the scores updated.
He gets them from me, and he copies and pastes them. I swear, man. He did his thing last week, and then no, you're absolutely right.
But you know, my whole thing is how does the newspaper of note in the state not have updated high school scores 24 hours after a game? You know what I mean? It's
no,
insane.
Exactly. You look on my page any given Friday night, I have a majority of the scores already up there. You know, that you're absolutely right. It's a sin that you're backed by a multi-million-dollar machine and you can't even, but they let him do whatever he wants. You know what I mean? He gets to do his own thing over there. So, I mean, but you're never going to have good reporting, man. The guy just don't know X's and O's. He don't know football. He don't appreciate what football players go through. Felix, you know what? You got to get score streams. You might even have it. Score streams have up to the minute high school football scores. You have to manually put in the teams that you want. But I use score streams a lot, and it's kind of like Max Preps, you know, not as detailed, but it just has the scores.
Yep.
I was just looking on there, and it must be updating it. But score streams is pretty good. Let's see if we can see it. It's blended in with the green screen, but yeah, I'll send you the link. That's very good. But yeah, the Journal's horrible at a lot of things, you know, especially. But go check out Ruby Tuesdays. It's definitely on Tuesday nights. You know, Groovy Tuesdays. Somebody called me up. They said, Mike, this dude's like imitating what you and Uncle Felix do. Uncle Felix does the top three. Now he's got the 3 stars of the week. But
like I always say, at the end of the day, if it ups his game, I'm happy. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
These kids
we here for the community.
These kids, exactly.
We here for the people. Okay, let's get on with it. Last week, Pontigansett and Situate, man, what a game. That place was packed from what I was told. You predicted it was going to be a 50-0 score. Turns out you were right on the money. Coach Michael Cook said Uncle Felix was right on the money.
It's
the defensive coordinator, Coach Eddie, he did admit his errors, and he definitely had a whole week of humble pie. Salute to him. But I think he learned a valuable lesson. He just believes in his head coach. He believes in the kids. And now they have a chance to really, at least get into the playoffs and possibly do good. But Pontigansett, EWG, man, is this going to be bad for EWG?
I think it's going to be bad for anybody playing Pontigansett right now. So, Pontigansett, just like St. Ray's is the cream of crop of Division 2, Pontigansett is the cream of the crop in Division 4. And I don't see EWG getting in their way.
Now, you remember last season, EWG, Pontigansett, same thing. Pontigansett was barreling over a lot of people. Mm-hmm. First game of the year went down to double overtime. It was like some crazy double fumble play that Coach Jimmy Cook said, tell Coach Fulton I practiced that like 5 times, and salute to them guys. But, who knows? Can it be a competitive game? But EWG is young.
It'll be more competitive than the Situate game, that's for sure.
Okay, there you go. You heard it. Uncle Felix said it. We're going to get on to Smithfield High School and Situate. Smithfield been in the news, especially with this new proposal coming on. 3-0, take 2 weeks off. They're gonna play Situate. Their game next week's canceled. Who wins this game?
Well, we haven't seen Smithfield in a couple of weeks. Like you said, they have been in the news because of COVID. Because of COVID issues. They are coming back this week here. They might be a little rusty to start off with. And Situate obviously coming off a 50-0 loss. They got a lot to prove. But I think this game is going to be a battle. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna say Smithfield.
Uncle Felix going with Smithfield. So we'll see how that game turns out. You're right. Smithfield coming off a couple weeks, really haven't played in 2 weeks. Salute to the coach over there. He had some personal issues, not to do with COVID. Don't everyone get nervous. But he had some issues on, so it's definitely going to be a good game for Division 4. And you're right, Situate is really hungry.
Yep. I mean, Smithfield had their running back there, AJ Hitu. I remember he was rolling up some pretty big numbers. You know what I mean? And then he got sidelined like the whole team did with COVID.
He made your list multiple weeks, right?
Yeah, he did. And then they just haven't played in a couple of weeks, so it's gonna be interesting to see. If he and the Sentinels can bounce back.
Middletown playing Narragansett. Middletown. Trying to play some good football. It seems like since Coach Bell left, though, they have been having a lot of problems finding their identity. I actually heard Coach Bell was feeling well, so salute to Coach Bell. We can't forget about
the
legendary people.
The Islanders have been a little bit inconsistent, and unfortunately for them, the Mariners have not been inconsistent. They've been just rolling up the points. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna go with Narragansett to win this game handedly, and I'm gonna predict a big game from Michael Wilson. That kid has been coming on. He's been coming on strong. He's also in the backfield there along with Rita Fry, who's been getting more of the attention. But Michael Wilson is coming on at the right time, and expect a big game from him.
Yeah, Narragansett, playing very, very good football. They've been with that coach Blessing from youth. He went from youth to high school, and it seems like kind of like what Barrington was last season. They had that team together for quite a long time. So, yeah, Narragansett should be able to. And it's also going to be Middletown's homecoming. I thought it said Motown, but Motown's going to be coming to Middletown's homecoming.
Nice.
So you heard it her first. NK and Portsmouth. NK they've been hot in D1, 4-0. Putting up points. They had that first tough game against Division 2 St. Ray's. Hint, but they had a tough game against them. But Portsmouth, man, what's going to happen with these two clubs?
Portsmouth should get the W here. They're just team or weapon. Obviously, Ben Hurd, as I said, the top 5 athlete. Both. I don't see them having in third. I think Portsmouth rolls.
All right, so Portsmouth, the next game, Rogers High School, Moses Brown. Moses Brown had their first night game at the history of Moses Brown. They never had the lights. They bring in some equipment. I think I seen that on Rhode Island Rank page, courtesy of WPRI. But Rogers and Moses Brown, that game is going to be at Rogers. Somebody did go on a limb and say Rogers has not been this bad in a long time.
Yeah. And, kudos to Moses Brown, like you said, having their first night game. And I got to say, I'm going to call out all those rich alumni over there at Moses Brown. You know what I mean? Cough up some money and get some lights on at that field over there. but I'm going to go with Moses Brown here. Rogers has been struggling. They did pull out a couple of weeks ago. They had a win over Lincoln, I believe. But Lincoln. This is Moses.
Yeah,
Brown.
they started out 2-0. Rogers started out 2-0. I think the Moses Brown thing with the lights, I think that's more about the community. I think it's another issue besides. I don't think it's the money. I think it's the neighborhood. Even though they have this big giant stadium right across the street, but them people on Lloyd Ave, man, they have some money, and I don't think they really want the lights on over there. Moses Brown they had AstroTurf before the Astrodome had it.
That's right. I do remember actually that. Yeah, that's when AstroTurf was dangerous and people were
back in '78. Yeah, exactly. Let's give it to the school.
People were planting their knee one way and their ankle go the other. It was awful.
They said, let's donate it to Moses Brown and see how it works out first before we put it in the Astrodome. let's give it to the school, But, I don't think they'll ever get lights. I think the temporary lights is the best they'll go on. I bet it has to do with their community, because why don't they have lights?
Could be. That makes sense. Like you said, Moses Brown isn't hurting for money, so.
Yeah. I don't think it's and Willie Edwards said everything under the sun over there. I'm sure he would have added lights over there, but Bishop Hendricken Central High School gonna be a Monday night game. Coach Washington.
Monday football.
Monday night, yeah, it's probably going to be a Monday 3 p.m. night game. That would be a nice Monday night game, but probably with school done the next day, it'd probably be an early Monday game. And them early games are I like them night games.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you. Your picture froze a little, but I could hear you.
Yeah, they're a pain in the ass. Well, hopefully it goes off. And hopefully they're facing a Hendricken team who wasn't able to play last week because I guess had some COVID issues. So the last time Hendricken played, they got by cap. You know, on that team, and obviously me get out of their mouth. And so Central unfortunately is going to be feel the wrath of that of what Hendricken's going to be bringing to the table there. So I'm going to go with Hendricken there.
Michael DePietro says many playoff games will be going on just before and just after Thanksgiving. So will the Thanksgiving Day games be canceled? I bet your butt they won't. They will definitely have these Thanksgiving Day games.
Thanksgiving Day football, there's such a tradition. It'd be a shame if they canceled those games. So I hope
and
not.
He's basically saying he's saying it because of the dates are so close, but they already took account to all of this. Them games will not be canceled. Like to some of these communities, screw the state game. They'd rather win that Thanksgiving Day game. Especially like in a community up on this side of the state, like some of these games are bigger than anything, like especially where I live. I mean, Mike also,
oldest Thanksgiving games in the country, right?
In the country, yes. They played over 150 times, back and forth, going back to 1911. They actually have a game on the books. It was like 100 and something to nothing. This was when Stonington, Connecticut had a draft. They were taking kids already for the draft. Rhode Island wasn't yet. So Rhode Island still had all of their players. Thursday and then again on Saturday or Sunday. I'll definitely have to look at how it's set up, but yeah, they won't cancel them Thanksgiving Day games. That won't, especially because last Thanksgiving was canceled. They might have like they had on Federal Hill when they raised the price on macaroni. They had a big riot. You know what I mean? Back in the late 1800s. But them Thanksgiving Days will not be canceled. They'll figure out how they're gonna be. The kids only need 3 days in between for rest, and so they'll have to definitely figure that out. But salute to Mike DePietro, Hunter Mumford's father from EWG. Good seeing your kid played on your team a couple seasons ago. Bishop Hendricken.
Yeah, his dad there, Michael. He's a good guy. We used to talk it up a lot watching the Hendricken practices back in the day.
Mushroom hunter. He goes mushrooming. He really knows where to get all the mushrooms. Like I seen the load of mushrooms he had. Salute to him. There's some in my yard, but people tell me you shouldn't eat them. Not that I have or even tried. But let's get on with it. Saturday games, Tiverton and North Providence. North Providence really, has a good chance here with the games that they have won. They play Scituate again coming up. Scituate really needs to win that game. But Tiverton not really having much hope. And I think Tiverton would have been happy if the season ended 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, Tiverton's a very young team. They're still trying to find their way. So, yeah, I would definitely roll with the Cougars here on that one.
And another game that's going to be very, very interesting because both teams, Burrillville playing well. Shea haven't really had the chance to play. And then when they do get the chance to play, they got to go in front of LaSalle. So how's this game going to end up with Burrillville and Shea?
This should actually be a very good.
A little bit of sound issues with Uncle Felix, but yes. This game is going to be in Burrillville. 12 p.m. game, homecoming.
In Burrillville. Well, because of those two factors, I'm going to lean towards Burrillville, but I think this is going to be a very good game. But I do see West Canoia and the boys pulling off the W here.
Coach Ferraro, I respect Coach Ferraro and everything he does at that program. Tollgate and North Smithfield, already both teams guaranteed a playoff spot. These two teams are probably looking at respectfully, the pity seed. Towards the end of the bracket. I know North Smithfield coach Jeff Piver don't want that seed. He wants a higher seed, of course. But how's this game look?
Both teams, as you know, have been struggling there. North Smithfield has shown some flashes here and there of what's to come in the future. So I'm gonna say North Smithfield picks up their first W here.
Nice. North Smithfield gets there. Juanita Sanchez and Hope. There you go. Say hi. Okay. Excuse me. Juanita Sanchez and Hope High School. That game's going to be at Providence County Day School. That'll be a 12:15 start. That's an odd start. Maybe somebody's going to be running 15 minutes late. So,
yeah, both teams. Hope coming off a great comeback win over Tiverton last week. PCD had that controversial win there with the kid there who obviously fell to his knee, but the refs didn't see it, and that led to a touchdown, which led them to pull off the victory. So,
And, they make a good point about that game. They say, now if you hit him, you hit a defenseless receiver.
Wow, this game's yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go with Hope on this one. I had a few kids from their team inbox me, and they seem very hungry. They seem very uplifted by that first win that they got there. So hopefully this is the beginning of maybe that program, beginning to turn around. So I'm gonna be rooting for Hope in this one.
Now, Woonsocket and SK, Woonsocket 2-0. I'm sure they want to move to 3-0. That game's going to be at Barryfield, 1 p.m. start. Woonsocket right now, people say, they might get your boys up out of here, man. They're looking at that number one spot getting hungry.
I don't see that happening, and I don't see them winning this game. SK, I think, will win this game. Ryan Hazard is a handful, as Central found out, and a lot of teams have found out. And Woonsocket, I'm still not sure what they have. They obviously, they haven't been playing a lot because of the COVID issues, and one score that sticks out to me, which makes me a little wary about Woonsocket, is that they only beat Cranston East. I believe the score was like 12-7 or something. It was a one-score game.
Yeah, they didn't win by much.
Yeah, Cranston East is pretty weak this year. So,
and EG, they beat EG. Oh, EG's 0-3. I'm sorry.
I tend to think about that Woonsocket. but yes, I'm a little hesitant to think Woonsocket is a competitor this year.
And Woonsocket's very, very young. The administration, what goes on over there, they're very young team. And I'm sure like a lot of teams, Woonsocket had he said, well, I'm sure like a lot of teams, Woonsocket had academic issues because every other team did. So I don't see why Woonsocket wouldn't have had academic issues going into this season. So, yeah, I think they're a growing team, and I think where they are in Division One, they should be lucky.
Yeah, they got a great coach there. You know what I mean? So if I'm correct, and they're not contenders this year, that won't last long. They got a great coach there, and he'll figure it out.
My guy Brandon, he's constantly saying SK. He said they only go the same 5 plays. Yep, they feed has it. They got the same 5 plays for how long, Brandon? He said for like 30 years they've been running the same 5 plays.
Hazard's a handful. I had him in FBU, and that kid, man. Once he gets, if you don't get him down right away, and he gets ahead of steam, he is tough to bring down.
Yeah, I know a lot of that. I remember when the Hazards Okay, look. You said 30+ years they've been running the same 5 running plays. You know, but I remember Hartford Projects when they were tearing down Hartford Project, and a lot of the families, because some got sent up to Middletown. The Hazards the Hazards went up there. Some going up to Harmony Hill up there in Newport.
I
Yeah.
thought these were the same hazards from Duke County. No,
Oh, I don't know. I know there was some of the Hazards that, yeah,
no,
maybe. Oh
I'm
yeah,
talking about
exactly.
the TV show. I'm teasing.
I caught on. I'm slow, man. I'm
Oh, the
slow. I
Dukes one.
know. He said, "Let me ask the white guy." All right. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, actually, I messed that up.
Bo and Luke Duke. You know what I mean? Shout out to the Dukes of Hazard, man. I used to love that show. I ain't even gonna front. Uncle Jesse.
No, it was a great
One
show.
socket and
Okay.
yeah, definitely. So we said the one socket NSK game and the last game 2 p.m. This game is a big game in Division Two. Westerly Classical. They're both second and third seed right now, behind St. Ray's. The winner of this game basically, grabs onto that second seed, and they're going to take the rest of the season off. No,
Yeah,
I'm just
that's actually
kidding.
that's actually a good game on paper. Um, but I'm gonna say, and I truly believe, I think Coach Dunbar is one of the best coaches in the state. He'll have his team ready for this, and I think they will beat Classical.
You know what? And, we won't even get into say how biased I am. But yes, no, I agree. I think Wesley is going to do good. Classical, they've been winning, but have they played somebody that can pass the ball, that can throw the ball, that can easily get 200 yards on
It's
you?
funny. One of the comments I keep seeing on my Rhode Island rank page is people saying, when did Westerly get a passing game? and
When when
I guess
Stanley Dunbar came to town.
I guess they didn't have one before, and so
Well, no, you had the Dwayne Miranda single wing, with the Tristan Toronto, and it's okay with Tristan Toronto because he's the type of back that can handle that type of, but that single wing is the reason why you lost state championships. You know why? Because why? Butterville said, "We'll just load the box and press your receivers. You ain't gonna throw the ball." And when Socket files suit, so that's what that single wing gets you. But yeah, Stanley Dunbar opens it right up, and he's got some receivers, tall kids. The Gorman kid, Luke Marley,
yeah,
like,
Luke Marley's fun to watch. That I gotta say.
oh yeah, and even last season, and he has a couple punt returns for touchdowns this season. Like once he gets out there, his legs, the span of him, he is just skinny, slender kid. I was watching some of Coach Dunbar's practices the other day, and I told Coach Dunbar, I said, at the beginning of the season, I really had a lot of doubt because you were very, very small. You graduated 1,500 pounds on the line. You know what I mean? And your biggest kid's 185 pounds, and he said that we're fast and we're strong. We're not big, we're fast and strong, and you know what? He schemes. You're right, great coach. And
No, he's a great coach, and it shows in his game planning. Which and not to take anything away from the Classical coach, because I also believe he's a very good coach. But I do think Westerly will win this game.
Yeah, shout out to Coach McCall. Somebody actually said Coach McCall sends just as many kids to D1 as Keith Croft. I don't know the actual
I'm not
numbers,
sure
but
about that. I'd have to look at it, but he does an excellent job of sending kids to D1. And kudos to him and what he does over there at Classical.
see that? There we go, Uncle Felix. We covered everything, man. Thank you. Salute to you. You could check Uncle Felix's page out over on Instagram. Your followers you're starting to get some traction, huh?
Yeah, it's getting there. It seems like I pick up over 100 every week. The kids are liking it. They're having fun. They're inboxing me. They're talking smack. You know what I mean? And more importantly, they're having fun. And I'm getting more and more coaches actually friend requesting, and so they can look at the content and see what Rhode Island talent looks like.
Yeah, definitely. And you paved the way now because now you have my son, which is hanging on to your shirt now. You know what I mean? He's not only copying what I do, he's copying your. Now he's got the top 3 stars, and you could catch Ruby Tuesday. I think it's on Tuesday at 7:30.
Hey, like I said earlier, whatever ups his game, you know what I mean? Because these kids deserve more.
No, that's definitely right. Hang on, I did have something here pertaining to that. Where is it? Here it is.
Against the world.
That's my boy.
That is
awesome. I bet he hates me. That's my boy, Eric, man. But thank you. Go check out Ruby Tuesday. You know, I guess if you can't be us, just copy us. You know. But thank you, Uncle Felix. We'll definitely talk next week. Keep me posted Monday on that big Central Knights. You know, Central's going to come out on top of that one over Bishop Hendricken. You heard it here first. You know, I'm sure Coach Washington's ready for that game. I got to say, Coach B-Ball, he wanted to play that game. You know, he said that would have been a good test for his kids. You know, everybody wants to play Hendricken. They all want to take down the mighty green.
Big game because you're everybody's Super Bowl, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, no, thank you. All right, Uncle Felix. Till next week. Thank you. I appreciate it. Check Uncle Felix out on Rhode Island Ranked, and see if you're in his top 3 next week.
Yes, sir. Have a good one. God bless.
Uncle Felix, man, we're always doing his thing. You can check him out every Thursday. He's right here. You know, we usually talk a little bit of smack back and forth. Then we talk about his top 3s, and then we'll go into the predictions. And he's pretty much right on. But thank you, everybody. You know, definitely, you know, we got a lot of football coming up this left because, if anything, at least the Interscholastic League, you know, gave us a lot of football. And definitely go check out my son Eric's Ruby Tuesdays on Tuesdays at 9:30, man. You know, Daddy's proud. Let's see what else.
Can We Keep It Real Podcast Network. Shout out to Can We Keep It Real Podcast and Network.
You nervous with butterflies in your stomach? Don't try to intimidate me. You couldn't scare me with lip. I'm spontaneous, smart, dangerous, fancy and quick. My trainer told me to work. He ain't prepared me to quit. I'm the only captain who's sailing this championship. I gotta hold down the city.